Part 23. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 221. The Ghost Control Patriarch spoke, but no one dared to say more. After Zhang Chen smiled with satisfaction, he took Xuanhuan and prepared to leave. And right now, a disciple came from outside the hall, whispered something into Tu Zheng's ear. Tu Zheng's eyes lit up and he said with deep meaning, "Zhang Chen, guess where Lin Mubai went?" Lin Mubai? Isn't this guy killing people everywhere recently? Zhang Chen frowned. He went to the Ghost Control Tower and broke into the 9th floor of the Ghost Control Tower. There were ghosts and ghosts there that were comparable to the peak of Tianyuan realm. With his cultivation level, it would be difficult for him to come out alive, Tu Zheng added. The Ghost Control Tower is actually the divine spiritual weapon of the Ghost Control section. It houses ghosts of all levels and is used for the training of sect disciples. The formation covered on it prohibits monks from the upper 4 realms from entering. Tu Zheng wanted to come. If Zhang Chen wants to save Lin Mubai, he must go alone. But on the 9th floor of the Ghost Control Tower, unless one has the peak combat power of the Tianyuan realm, anyone who goes there will be in danger of life. If you are not careful, Zhang Chen may even die. Of course, Zhang Chen cannot die. Therefore, Tu Zheng's plan was just to watch Zhang Chen get into trouble and come to the rescue at the critical moment. This would not only frustrate Zhang Chen's spirit, but also save some face for the sect. But who would have expected? Oh, really? He died miserably, Zhang Chen replied calmly. There is no intention of going to the rescue at all. At this moment, Tu Zheng couldn't stand it. In order to save Zhang Chen did not hesitate to use his power to suppress others, and fought hard with the Ghost Control sect with the thought of mutual destruction. But why did he react like this when the target was Lin Mubai? Is this Lin Mubai so unpopular? Besides, Lin Mubai is not dead yet. I just entered the ghost tower. Why don't you go and save him? You are Lin Mubai's senior brother, Tu Zheng followed suit. No, I don't have time. Zhang Chen didn't even think about it. This made Tu Zheng speechless. Guessing what he was thinking, an elder from the Ghost Control sect sneered, "What young master of the Zhang family? You don't even dare to save your own junior brother, you are as cowardly as a mouse." As soon as these words came out, Zhang Chen's expression suddenly darkened. Xuanhuan looked at him coldly, making the elder who spoke out feel like he had fallen into an ice cellar. Chen Sheng is more direct. Snored. After a loud roar, his huge aura pressed directly towards the elder. The elder instantly felt that the air was extremely heavy, and his knees couldn't stop bending. Finally, there was a bang sound. Kneel directly in front of Zhang Chen. Seeing this, Tu Zheng immediately clenched his fists. Knowing that he was no match for Chen Sheng, he could only mock and said, "Today I have finally seen clearly that the dignified young master of the Zhang family can only use his power to overwhelm others, and he actually has no strength whatsoever." After hearing these words, Xuanhuan's body started to flutter with phoenix fire. Chen Sheng squinted his eyes, and the aura on his body became increasingly bad. Relying on the support of the ghost-controlling ancestor, Tu Zheng did not give up at all and continued to taunt, "If you want to fight, let's fight. But remember to keep Zhang Chen away. After all, he is too cowardly. I can't afford to pay for being frightened." Court death. Chen Sheng and Xuanhuan were furious at the same time. But just when the two of them could no longer restrain themselves, they were about to take action. "Master Tu, this method of provoking generals is too low-level." Zhang Chen raised his hand to stop him. Tu Zheng did not hide it and said bluntly, "As long as it works. You will regret it," Zhang Chen said with deep meaning. "Regret?" Tu Zheng shook his head and said loudly, "I, Tu Zheng, have been in the demon sect since I was a child. My hands are stained with blood. I never know what regret is. Then how about we take a gamble? Jiang Chen asked again. How to bet? If I successfully rescue Lin Mubai from the ghost control tower, the ghost control sect will quickly prepare 20 dowries, each with 100,000 mid-grade spiritual crystals. Tu Zheng was silent when he heard this. The stakes are a bit high. 2 million mid-grade spiritual crystals, even for a first-rate sect like the ghost control sect, is considered a huge hemorrhage. Why, is the ghost control sect so poor that they can't even afford 2 million spiritual crystals? This time it was Jiang Chen's turn to mock. Even so, Tu Zheng did not dare to agree. After all, the amount was too big, and he, the sect leader, couldn't make the decision. Hey, you are poor, you should have told me earlier. Jiang Chen shook his head and continued to mock. Being poor is not a sin, but if you are poor and pretending, then you are wrong. Such ridicule made Tu Zheng and others unable to hold their heads up. Gritting his teeth, Tu Zheng asked bravely, what if you can't bring Lin Mubai out from the 9th floor of the ghost tower? You can do whatever you want, Jiang Chen replied instantly. Okay, Tu Zheng gritted his teeth and agreed, when the time comes, I will let you kill your 2 junior brothers with your own hands in front of all the disciples and elders of the ghost control sect. Ken. It doesn't take a moment. The news that Jiang Chen wanted to break into the ghost control tower spread to the ghost control sect, and the whole ghost control sect was in an uproar. Ghost Tower. This tower is located on the edge of the cliff at the deepest point of the ghost control section. Below it is a bottomless abyss, with black clouds lingering above and ghosts roaring all around, making it look extremely cold. Jiang Chen and others arrived here quickly. Glancing at Xuanhuan and Chen Sheng, Tu Zheng repeated again, you are not allowed to rely on external force, you are not allowed to use high-grade or higher spiritual weapons, and you are not allowed to destroy the formation from the outside. This is a prerequisite. Why do you talk so much? Jiang Chen gave him a straight look. Snort. Tu Zheng rolled his sleeves and snorted coldly. He felt it should be stable. Although according to the intelligence analysis, Jiang Chen's combat power should be extremely strong. But under the conditions of limiting external interference and limiting the use of high-grade spiritual weapons, Jiang Chen will definitely lose. After all, the Yugui sect has been established for thousands of years, and many geniuses have appeared. And these geniuses, without exception, all of them cannot successfully break into the 9th floor of the Yugui Tower at the Yuandan level and come out intact. Master 2, how much do you know about the battle between Juyan sect and Buddha Temple? Jiang Chen suddenly asked. Tu Zheng frowned, not understanding what Jiang Chen meant. The Yugui sect has always avoided Buddha Temple. The reason is that Buddhism has a great restraint on ghosts and ghost magic. Therefore, the Yugui sect only knows a little bit about the battle between Juyan sect and Buddha Temple, not in detail. What do you mean? Tu Zheng asked back. Nothing. Jiang Chen shook his head. In full view of the public, Jiang Chen walked towards the 9-story Yugui Tower with his hands behind his back. Just as he was about to enter, he suddenly turned his head and grinned at Tu Zheng. This smile made Tu Zheng feel uneasy. But what shocked him even more was yet to come. Jiang Chen put his hands together and said, my name is Santang. As soon as he finished speaking, the Dharma in his body was spinning, and there was a 5-colored Buddha light on his head. His voice was like the sound of Buddha and his face was like that of a great monk. Tu Zheng rubbed his eyes. The elders and disciples of the Yugui sect also rubbed their eyes. They didn't dare to believe it, but they had to believe it. Jiang Chen actually knew the Dharma. It's not ordinary Dharma. This familiar feeling, could it be? Tu Zheng was shocked. He had fought with the bald donkeys in the Buddha temple, so he could tell at a glance. Jiang Chen was probably practicing the treasured sutra of the Buddha temple. It doesn't make sense. Tu Zheng was shocked and puzzled. How could the bald donkeys in the Buddha temple teach Jiang Chen such profound dharma? And there was no news of this matter? If the ancestors and monks of the Buddha temple were here and knew Tu Zheng's thoughts, they would definitely ask. Are you stupid? Who would tell others about such a shameful thing? No matter what. At this moment, Tu Zheng panicked. He was worried that Zhang Chen could really bring Lin Mubai out, and then he would have to pay 2 million medium-grade spirit crystals. This matter was decided by him alone, and the ghost-controlling ancestor would not let him use the Sex Foundation. Therefore, he might lose everything this time. When Tu Zheng came to his senses, Zhang Chen had already entered the ghost-controlling tower. Don't panic, Tu Zheng hurriedly comforted himself, it's just a Buddhist technique. It's not very useful without the Buddhist secret book. The voice fell. Bursts of laughter and words came from the ghost-controlling tower. Great and mighty heavenly dragon. Flying dragon in the sky. Om Mani Padme Hum. Ha ha. A mere ghost, you want to break my golden body. Female ghost, I need you to help me practice. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 222. Hearing Zhang Chen's wild laughter, Tu Zheng and others immediately used their spiritual sense to explore the situation inside the ghost tower. Seeing this, everyone was collectively stunned. The first 3 floors of the ghost control tower are filled with ghosts without intelligence. I saw Zhang Chen transformed into a golden body that was tens of feet tall. He grabbed any ghost and gave it a beating. Diamond sued. Perhaps because he was too violent, or perhaps because he was afraid of the Buddha's light, other ghosts did not dare to approach him at all. The 3rd floor of the ghost control tower. The ghosts here are comparable to Earth UN realm monks and possess a certain level of intelligence. When Zhang Chen arrived at the 4th floor, he was attacked by a group of fierce ghosts. But he just uttered the 6-character Buddhist mantra, and these fierce ghosts screamed and huddled in the corner without daring to move. The corner of Tu Zheng's mouth kept twitching when he saw this, and he shouted in his heart that it was so shameless. Possessing the best Buddhist teachings and Buddhist secrets, Zhang Chen actually refused to come to the ghost tower again and again. Isn't this a trap for him? Fortunately, things are not that bad. The real danger is the last 3 floors of the ghost control tower. Each of the ghosts in the last 3 levels is comparable to the Tianyuan monk. They were captured by the senior officials of the ghost control sect who have repeatedly entered and exited the ghost ridge and soul abyss for thousands of years. Without any exaggeration. If you let any one of these ghosts out, it can cause trouble in all directions. In full view. Zhang Chen finally arrived at the 7th floor of the ghost tower. Everyone thought that there would be a big battle this time. But who would have expected? The moment he entered the 7th level, Zhang Chen raised his hand and used the mighty heavenly dragon move. In front of the golden dragon wrapped in Buddha's light, even the ghosts in the Tianyuan realm can only run around in confusion. That's all. Zhang Chen reached the 9th floor smoothly without any pressure or resistance. Seeing this, Tu Zheng was completely despairing. At this moment, he regretted it. I regretted why I was so obsessed with forcing Zhang Chen to enter the ghost tower. Isn't this a gift of spiritual crystals? But what made him even more desperate was yet to come. After entering the 9th floor, Zhang Chen did not save Lin Mubai who was fighting fiercely, but took out a faint blue crystal stone from his arms. Although the crystal was small, Tu Zheng still recognized it at a glance. Yuquan Ghost Crystal. The moment they recognized this object, the ghost-controlling sect members thought of something and prepared to rush into the ghost-controlling tower. But they haven't had time to act yet. Xiao Hong'ai and Chen Shen blocked their way. Step forward and die. The two said at the same time. A moment ago, it was on the 9th floor of the ghost control tower. When Zhang Chen arrived here in his golden body state, he found Lin Mubai in the center, fighting with a group of ghosts. Although Lin Mubai was injured in many places, he became more courageous as he fought. Sometimes he could still rely on instinct to fight in a state of enlightenment. This is the innate Dao bone, completely activated, Zhang Chen murmured. He had known for a long time that nothing would happen to Lin Mubai. After all, Lin Mubai possesses innate Taoist bones. Although his ability to fight across realms is not strong, his cultivation level soars at a terrifying speed. When he left Juyan sect, Lin Mubai was only in the early stage of Tianyuan realm, but now he was in the middle stage, and there were even faint signs of breaking through to the late stage. Too lazy to pay attention to Lin Mubai, who was fighting fiercely, Zhang Chen casually found a corner to sit down. He took out a dark crystal stone from his arms. This crystal is the system reward he received not long ago, the Yuquan Ghost Crystal. Yuquan Ghost Crystal, an 8th grade spiritual treasure. This object can absorb ghost energy and temper it into crystals by itself. Not only can it help ghosts shape their ghost bodies, but it can also extend their lifespan to a certain extent. Zhang Chen never knew where he could use this thing. But now that I have nothing to do, I might as well use ghost crystals to absorb the ghost energy in the ghost control tower to make it stronger and more effective. Just do it. Putting the Yuquan ghost crystal on the ground, Zhang Chen waited quietly. Soon, the ghost energy in the 9-story ghost control tower condensed into a vortex and rushed into the ghost crystal crazily. All of a sudden, the ghost crystal emits a faint blue light, shining like a heartbeat, extremely dazzling. A few minutes later, the ghost crystal had doubled in size. Just when Zhang Chen wanted to put it away, die! Lin Mubai in the distance suddenly shouted and cut the ghost in front of him in half with a knife. The ghost immediately let out a miserable scream and turned into ghost energy and dissipated. And at the same time, the Yuquan ghost crystal once again shines with blue light, and then absorbs all the ghost energy. Zhang Chen's eyes immediately lit up. He discovered the code to wealth. I originally thought that Yuquan ghost crystal could only absorb natural ghost energy, but I didn't expect that it could even absorb the ghost energy that collapsed from ghosts. And there are thousands of ghosts in this ghost control tower. If all these ghosts are killed and used to nourish the Yuquan ghost crystal, this ghost crystal may be able to break through the 8th level in one fell swoop and reach the height of the 9th level spiritual treasure. That is a 9th grade spiritual treasure. It has never appeared in the middle domain, and even in the upper domain, it is still valuable. Even if a spiritual treasure of this level cannot be used by oneself, it is still a good choice whether it is used for replacement or sale. For Zhang Chen, the central region is just a temporary habitat. Sooner or later, he will return to the upper domain to save the Zhang family and fight against the dynasty. For this goal, he must increase his cultivation as soon as possible and accumulate foundation. Thinking of this, Zhang Chen looked at the ghosts surrounding Lin Mubai and smiled ferociously. He transformed into a golden body again, stepped forward quickly, and punched directly. The fist was wrapped in Buddha's light, dispelling darkness wherever it went, bringing out 7-color Buddha's light. A ghost took the punch head on, and was immediately shattered by the Buddha's light and power, turning into ghost energy all over the sky. Seeing that the Buddha's light showed signs of transcending ghost energy, Zhang Chen quickly took out the ghost crystal of Yuquan and absorbed it. This was repeated up to 100 times. After a few hours, not only were all the ghosts on the 9th floor of the ghost control tower destroyed, but even the accumulated ghost energy over the years also completely disappeared. From beginning to end, Lin Mubai just watched, and had long lost his will to fight. It was not until Zhang Chen put away the ghost crystal and prepared to go to the 8th floor that he wondered, "Big brother, are you here to save me?" Zhang Chen ignored him. "Wu, that must be the case. Big brother, I am so moved." Lin Mubai burst into tears. The two went to other floors of the ghost control tower one after the other. After a few hours, Zhang Chen led Lin Mubai out of the ghost control tower. "Ha! Young master is awesome." Chen Sheng saw this and laughed from ear to ear. Xuanhuan nodded and gave him an admiring look. On the other hand, Tu Zheng and other members of the ghost control sect looked uglier than eating shit. Because the ghost crystal of Xuanhuan absorbed all the ghost energy and ghosts in the ghost control tower, the ghost control tower was now dim. This also means the ghost control tower is useless. Unless thousands of ghosts are caught, the ghost control tower will be useless in the future and will not serve the purpose of allowing disciples of the sect to train. Tu Zhen never expected this. He didn't expect Zhang Chen to be so troublesome and bring disaster to the ghost control sect. He has only been here for a few days, but he has caused chaos in the ghost control sect, and now he has even destroyed the ghost control tower. If I had known this earlier. When the ancestor said that he wanted Zhang Chen to stay as a guest, he would stop him no matter what. Now that things have come to this, regret is useless. Tu Zheng and others were silent, sometimes with fierce eyes and sometimes with frowns. They wanted Zhang Chen to keep half of the nether ghost crystal. After all, this thing can break through to the 9th grade spiritual treasure because it absorbs the ghost energy and ghosts of the ghost control tower. But they also know. With Zhang Chen's character, he will definitely not agree. At that time, there will be a verbal battle, and even the risk of a big battle. Helplessly, Tu Zheng had to call out to the ghost control ancestor in his heart. He hoped that the ancestor would come forward to recover the loss of the sect this time. But the answer he got was, "This loss is all because of you. Solve it yourself." Undoubtedly. The current ghost control ancestor still doesn't want to tear his face with Zhang Chen. This made Tu Zheng almost cry. How can he afford such a big loss? Selling him won't work. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 223. Late at night. In the main hall of the Ghost Control sect, the sect's senior officials gathered together. The sights around him were a little hot, and the sect leader Tu Zheng shrank his neck subconsciously. With 2 million middle-grade spiritual crystals, the Ghost Control Tower is useless. Is this how you, the sect leader, manage your sect? A supreme elder asked coldly. Tu Zheng was speechless. Can you blame him? Cannot. Who knew that Zhang Chen was not only so tough, but also knew Buddhism and possessed the Xuanhuan ghost crystal? When he initially made trouble for Zhang Chen, neither the ancestor nor the supreme elder showed any objection. This proved that everyone also acquiesced in this matter. But now, things have developed to this point, but he, the sect leader, has taken the blame. The 2 million soul crystals are for you, the sect leader, to solve by yourself. The problem of the Ghost Control Tower will be put aside for the time being until the Xuanhuan sect is destroyed. After a while, the Ghost Control Patriarch said. As you command. Tu Zheng looked sad. He had expected this and was ready to sell his belongings. Of course, he also considered the possibility of not admitting his debt. But with Zhang Chen's character, he would definitely cause an uproar. Now the Ghost Control sect is embarrassing enough. If things continue to develop, he will no longer be the leader of the sect. Ancestor, it's better to contact the female ghost Guiling Xuanhuan as soon as possible, and then send Zhang Chen away. This kid is really a big trouble, Tu Zheng said anxiously. It's just some friction, don't worry about it. Yugui Patriarch didn't take it seriously. After we destroy the Xuanhuan sect, we will let Zhang Chen join the Yugui sect, and then we can restrain him properly. Tu Zheng was speechless. He finally saw it. Because the pressure from the Wandao demon sect and other sects is too great, the Ghost Control Patriarch is determined to embrace the Zhang family. But contacting Guiling Xuanhuan really needs to be done as soon as possible. The Ghost Control Patriarch thought for a while and called out, "The Supreme Elder. Exist. An old man with a goat's beard, and although his eyes were slits from a smile, there was a cold light inside them. Go to the Ghost Ridge and Soul Abyss and explore the attitude of the female ghost first. Remember, don't do anything random, the ghost control ancestor asked. I will obey the laws of my ancestors. The old man bowed and accepted the order. Next, is the next topic. It is related to the fact that the number of outgoing disciples of the ghost control sect has gone missing one after another, up to 100. There is something strange about this matter. At the beginning, everyone thought Zhang Chen was causing trouble. But judging from Zhang Chen's reaction today, it seemed that he was unaware of this matter. Let the third true successor Gao Long go investigate this matter. Finally, the ghost control patriarch ordered. After the matter was discussed, everyone left one after another, except Tu Zheng, who stayed. Ancestor, if Zhang Chen continues to make trouble like this, it will be difficult for me to be the sect leader, Tu Zheng spat. It's really hard to do. The majestic leader of his sect could only watch helplessly as Zhang Chen and others made the ghost control sect restless. If this continues, where will his prestige lie? How to convince the public? The ghost control ancestor thinks this is the truth. After pondering for a while, he finally said, "That's all, you will call Zhang Chen to see me later, and I will give him a good beating." As you command. Tu Zheng was overjoyed. Half an hour later, Zhang Chen arrived at the sect master's hall alone. In the spacious and magnificent hall, the lights were slightly dim, but there was an old woman standing in the center, who was the ancestor of the ghost control sect. After seeing Zhang Chen, the ghost control patriarch smiled with wrinkles on his face. She waved to Zhang Chen, as kindly as the grandmother next door, and said, "Zhang Chen, come here quickly." The people were so enthusiastic, Zhang Chen didn't want to be rude, so he stepped forward and said, "I have met Senior." Haha, the ghost control ancestor smiled even more. But the next moment, her smile faded again, and her almost dry old eyes were full of cold light, and she asked, "Yan Mei, the number one true successor of our sect, died in your hands. Such a rapid change in status may scare others, but it cannot scare Zhang Chen." He didn't explain, just glanced at his mouth. The reason for this is that I hate explanations, and I know that if the ghost control ancestor believes that he did it, the explanation will be useless. Zhang Chen, you killed me, the true successor of the ghost control section. In the recent period, the ghost control sect has been in a state of turmoil. This matter is very difficult for me to handle, the ghost control ancestor said again. Oh, so, Zhang Chen raised his eyebrows. The ghost control ancestor was speechless. In the past, those disciples who saw her were, without exception, silent. But Zhang Chen is better. He actually looked like, "What can you do to me?" Even more infuriating. The ghost control ancestor knew in his heart that she really couldn't do anything like this. Why? The ghost control ancestor shook his head and sighed. I still can't afford to offend the Fengling Zhang family. Helpless, she could only smile and said, "Let the past be in the past. But from now on, you can't do anything wrong again, otherwise I will have no choice but to drive you out of the section." Kick out of the sect? These 4 words hit Zhang Chen's weakness. After finally arriving at a normal place, he hasn't earned enough system rewards yet. But if I were honest, wouldn't I still be unable to get system rewards? After weighing things in his mind, Zhang Chen decided to be honest first. This honesty does not mean doing nothing, but changing from light to dark. Change to quietly brushing system rewards. I, the great villain, have fallen to such a cautious level. Zhang Chen sighed in his heart, feeling that it was so difficult for him. After getting his promise, the ghost-controlling ancestor also breathed a sigh of relief and asked again, "By the way, you came to the ghost-controlling sect this time to pass on a message, right?" "Yes." Zhang Chen nodded and took out a message jade slip. He knew the contents of the jade slip very well. Worried that the ghost-controlling ancestor might get angry and drive him away, he reminded him, "Senior, the contents of this letter are unbearable to read, you have to hold on." The ghost-controlling ancestor did not expect it. Jiang Chen actually cared about her. After a faint smile, she said indifferently, "It doesn't matter, I have seen all kinds of storms in my life. A mere sound transmission jade slip is insignificant." After that, she took the sound transmission jade slip and shot a beam of spiritual light into it. The contents of the letter automatically appeared in her mind. Soon, the ghost-controlling ancestor was so angry that he trembled all over, and the violent ups and downs of the breath almost blew up the sect master hall directly. This jade slip was written by Xiaoting, the great elder of Juyan sect. The content of the letter is also very simple. It is nothing more than a few things. 1. The elders of Yugui sect who went to Juyan sect for marriage have been left as guests. 2. If you want these people to return safely, you must exchange them for 2 Juyuan soul fetuses. 3. If Yugui sect is unwilling, not only will the lives of those elders be in danger, but sooner or later Juyan sect will start a sect war against Yugui sect. This is a kidnapping and extortion letter. Yugui patriarch couldn't believe it. She never thought of it. Juyan sect, once a famous sect, has now fallen to the point of doing such a despicable act. We are all cultivators, and the demon sect also has to save face. Such an act. The demon sect disdains to do it. Only those inferior cottages and bandits can do it. Juyan sect, bullying too much, Yugui patriarch roared. "Hey, senior. I have tried to stop this again and again, but I am powerless and those crazy people in Juyan sect don't listen to me. This matter has nothing to do with me." Fearing that he would be kicked out of the sect, Jiang Chen hurriedly distanced himself from it. "Really?" The ghost-controlling ancestor narrowed his eyes. Of course, Jiang Chen didn't even think about it. "Then why did you come to deliver the letter?" the ghost-controlling ancestor asked again. This." Jiang Chen was speechless. After thinking for a while, he said in a sonorous voice, "I came here to expose the conspiracy of Juyan sect to you, senior. I will kill my relatives for the sake of justice. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil." Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 224. The Ghost Control Patriarch didn't believe a word Jiang Chen said. He was still killing his relatives for the sake of justice? He was going to kill the Ghost Control sect, right? Otherwise, how could Jiang Chen cause such unrest in the Ghost Control sect as soon as he arrived? Too lazy to argue with Jiang Chen, the Ghost Control Patriarch began to think. Should he give the 9 Abyss Soul embryo or not? If he gave it, wouldn't the Ghost Control sect lose all its face? But if he didn't give it? The Ghost Control Patriarch narrowed his eyes slightly, and several brilliant lights flashed in them. If he didn't give it, with the current reputation of the 9 Yan sect, there might really be a sect war. Although the Ghost Control sect had been prepared for this, it had not yet reached an agreement with the Ghost Ridge Soul Abyss. For the sake of safety, it was still necessary to stabilize the 9 Yan sect first. After weighing the pros and cons in his mind, the Ghost Control Patriarch decided. Give it. Not just 2, but 3. In this way, the purpose of buying time and confusing the 9 Yan sect can be achieved. The 3 9 Abyss Soul embryos are all that the Yugui sect has. Although it would be embarrassing to give them away, you can't catch a wolf without sacrificing a child. And the lost face will be recovered as long as the Juyan sect is destroyed. With this in mind, after letting Jiang Chen leave first, the Yugui Patriarch immediately called a Supreme Elder and asked him to take the 9 Abyss Soul embryos to the Juyan sect. She repeatedly reminded him. After going to the Juyan sect, you must be humble and take the lives of the sect elders as the most important. At the beginning, the Supreme Elder was also furious. But after understanding the Yugui Patriarch's plan, the hall was full of sinister laughter. A few days later, the second supreme elder of the Yugui sect arrived at the Julian demon sect. Xiaoting led the sect's supreme elders, holding various spiritual weapons, demonstrating the hospitality of the Julian sect. Finally, the supreme elder of the Yugui sect left behind the 9 abyss soul embryo and took the hostage away. 12 supreme elders gathered in the newly built hall of the sect leader of Irfan. Xiaoting looked at the 3 9 abyss soul embryos that were extorted and pondered for a long time. He seemed to also discovered the code of wealth. I thought that the Yugui sect would rather perish together than compromise easily. Unexpectedly, the other party was so straightforward and paid an excess ransom. This kind of thing can be done more in the future. Anyway, now that the Julian sect has truly become a demon sect, the sect members have also understood the truth of this world, so they naturally want to do whatever they want. I feel that the Yugui sect should be planning something, a supreme elder reminded. Xiaoting naturally knew this. But, he didn't care. After all, in front of absolute strength, no matter how much the Yugui sect jumped, it was just a grasshopper after autumn. More importantly, now the Julian patriarch is not in the Julian sect, but near the Yugui sect. They just caught a few disciples of the Yugui sect and forced them to watch the 9 Life Rewind. Xiaoting and others felt very comfortable about this. After all, they were forced to watch the 9 Life Rewind several times, and the unspeakable pain was still fresh in their memory. At this moment, just thinking about it, there are many people who are experiencing the pain they once suffered, and they feel very comfortable. Quickly inform the ancestor of this matter, and then send a 9 abyss soul fetus finally, Xiaoting decided. Outside the Yugui sect, Gao Long, the third true disciple, was ordered to go out again to investigate the disappearance of the sect disciples. Last time, he had just left the sect and was beaten up by Zhang Chen. Now he has just recovered his ability to move. In order not to repeat the same mistake, Gao Long has been reminding himself in his heart not to get involved in things and not to say hello to people. Especially those who claim to have the appearance of a great emperor, must stay away. Just in case. Before leaving, he even asked his master for a top-grade spiritual clothing. This clothing can not only help him hide his tracks, but also provide a certain degree of protection. Gao Long felt safe, so he took steps to leave the sect. His plan this time was still to wander around casually, and then find a random reason to return to the sect to report. The culprit could make hundreds of disciples of the ghost sect disappear within a few days. It was obvious that he was not a good person. He would not take the initiative to provoke him. Nothing unusual happened along the way, which made Gao Long breathe a sigh of relief. Seeing that night was approaching, he planned to find a place to rest. Suddenly. Ha ha ha. I'm not crazy, you are crazy. The way of heaven is unfair, it's unfair. Are villains like us only stepping stones for others and trampled by the protagonist? Although I don't have the heart to be righteous, I don't want to be played by God. In this life, I want to go against the sky. I don't want to die in the hands of the protagonist like in the previous lives. Bursts of crazy laughter sounded from the dense forest in the distance. Hearing this, Gao Long got goosebumps all over his body. Although he only heard the voice but didn't see the person, he was very sure. There was a group of crazy people just ahead. Without any hesitation, Gao Long ran away. But he had only taken one step when he saw 2 old men in front of him. One old man was in the state of spirit, and the other old man looked crazy, with murderous eyes. Gao Long's hair stood up immediately, as if he was facing a great enemy. "Don't worry, we won't do anything to you, but you need to see something," said the old man with a physical body. "What is it?" Gao Long swallowed hard. "The truth of this world," the old man with spirit continued. Then, before Gao Long could resist, he appeared in the middle of a bunch of crazy people in the next second. He recognized them at a glance. These crazy people were the missing disciples of Ghost Sect during this period. Junior brother Zhang? Why are you here? Elder Li, it's me. Third true disciple Zhang Long. How did you become like this? Junior sister Lan, why are you crying? Gao Long kept shouting, but no one paid attention to him. He wanted to escape, but found that he was imprisoned and couldn't even close his eyes. Then he saw a screen several feet wide, which came into his sight. On the screen he saw Zhang Chen, but he was wearing a white dress. The picture changed quickly. In just a moment, more than 10 years had passed. The eyesight and memory of the cultivators were far beyond that of ordinary people. Therefore, even with such a fast forward, Gao Long still clearly understood everything in the picture. When the first life fell, he was already in tears. After the first 9 life replay ended, he was extremely angry and felt the deep malice of the heaven. At the same time, he also felt pain. He didn't want to watch it anymore, but the next 9 life replay appeared again. In the end, Gao Long couldn't remember how long he had watched it, and how many times he had watched the 9 life replay. The only thing he remembered was the pain that penetrated into the bone marrow like an axe and a knife. Ah! Everything was over, Gao Long roared. He drew his sword and questioned the heaven, aren't villains like us worthy of living? The heaven obviously didn't want to deal with a scumbag. Seeing this, the ancestor Juyan smiled with satisfaction. Another person experienced his pain. I didn't expect that the villains would have a greater reaction to watching the 9 life replay than the righteous people like us, the ancestor Lan Yuan sighed. Such a result was indeed far beyond the two people's surprise. After all, in the eyes of the two, the villains had no good thoughts in their hearts, and they might not be able to understand the pain that Zhang Chen suffered. But the facts proved. The villain may not be able to understand kindness, but he can see himself in Zhang Chen. A villain who is played by God and trampled by the protagonist. No matter how hard he struggles, he can't change his fate. It's almost done, let's send these people back to the Yugui sect first, Juyan Patriarch said again. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 225. The next day. The hundreds of missing disciples of the Ghost Control sect have all returned to the sect. This incident made the sect's senior officials feel happy. After all, among the 100 disciples, there were many talented disciples and even several true disciples. But soon, the sect leader Tu Zhen noticed something was wrong. These disciples. It's all crazy. Not only are his eyes full of anger, but his emotions are also extremely fickle. Sometimes they were furious, sometimes in tears. Some disciples even went around asking other people if they wanted to defy heaven together. What's even weirder is, these missing disciples would occasionally take normal disciples out, and when they returned, the normal disciples would be equally crazy. In just a few days, the number of crazy demons soared to hundreds. You don't need to think about this to know that someone must be tampering with it. Tu Zhen immediately conducted a rigorous investigation. He summoned Gao Long, the third true disciple, to inquire about the specific circumstances of his disappearance. Forgot Gao Long didn't even think about it. Why are you going against heaven? Tu Zhen asked again. Because God is unfair, Gao Long replied. How can God be unfair? This matter is a bit complicated. If the master is interested, you can come with me to observe something. What? The truth about this world. Tu Zhen was speechless for a while, secretly thinking that a madman is a madman. But he was also keenly aware that this so-called truth of the world might be the source of the disciples' madness this time. After thinking about it for a while, he immediately took several elders from the sect and went out with Gao Long. Everyone left the sect and walked into a dense forest. There were occasional birds and animals passing by in the dense forest, but no one was seen. Gao Long took a deep breath and shouted, "Two seniors, I have brought the leader." Senior. These two words hit his ears, and Tu Zheng and others immediately stood ready. But before they could see clearly who the so-called senior was, they were bound by some powerful force. "Not only can't I move, I can't even close my eyes." Immediately afterwards, a screen appeared out of thin air, and the three characters' first life on the screen were extremely conspicuous. After looking back at several 9 lives, Tu Zheng and others roared angrily. "Heaven, how unfair it is! Ho, ho, ho," but their cultivation is far beyond that of other disciples of the section. In addition, because they have little relationship with themselves, they still have a lot of sense. This made the ancestor of Julian, who was sitting cross-legged in the sky above to project his memory, immediately frown. "Senior, it seems that one's cultivation level is directly proportional to the difficulty of becoming a madman. If it has nothing to do with oneself, the higher one's cultivation level, the less susceptible he is to the effects of retrospection," said Lanyun Patriarch on the side. Ancestor Julian nodded and wrote this down in the little notebook in his heart. He came to the Ghost Control sect this time not on a whim, but as a constant experiment. The people of the Julian sect had a great reaction to the 9th life recall, because it involved themselves, and they had good thoughts in their hearts, and they could feel the pain of Zhang Chen's 9th life. But if the target is someone with a higher level of cultivation and it has nothing to do with him, he can resist to a certain extent. For example, Fan Tong, the ancestor of Lan Yuan. When I first watched the 9th life retrospective, this person was also using his cultivation to resist. In the end, he went crazy because he watched it too many times. After all, it's him who's been projecting retrospective memories. With each memory projection, he and others would watch the 9 life retrospective again. Therefore, in terms of the number of times Fan Tong has watched the 9th life rewind is even higher than that of the Julian ancestor. Thinking of this, the ancestor of Julian glanced at Fan Tong. I saw that the latter's eyes were full of anger, and his whole person looked like he was possessed by a demon, and he would make weird laughter from time to time. "Fan Tong, you are very good. In this world, you are the person who can feel my pain the most," Julian ancestor praised. "Senior is so complimentary." Fan Tong smiled ferociously and suggested, "Senior, I think we should increase the intensity and loop it 100 times. Let Tu Zheng and others feel the pain of waiting for me." "Okay. This is a very good suggestion," Ancestor Julian nodded in agreement. Immediately afterwards, Fan Tong controlled the reminiscence mirror and directly started the loop playback. Time passes rapidly. Each time the 9th life retrospective projection was fast-forwarded by the reminiscence mirror, the reality only lasted for a few hours. However, because they were imprisoned, Tu Zheng and others were completely immersed in it, and they only felt that 1,000 years had passed. They have lost count of how many times they have watched the 9th life rewind. I can't even remember how long this jail-like situation lasted. The only thing they can feel is pain, torture. Although only a few days have passed in reality, they feel like they have been in prison for tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of years. Another 9 life retrospective comes to an end. Tu Zheng already had dark circles under his eyes, bloodshot eyes, and was exhausted. The mental torture made him even contemplate suicide several times. But helpless. While being imprisoned, he couldn't even commit suicide. This time, he was really tired. Since he couldn't commit suicide, he had no choice but to give up resistance and let his inner demons erode his Taoist heart. Only in this way can we gain relief. Destroy it? Tu Zheng murmured. He himself should be destroyed, and the world should be destroyed. The thought fell. Ha 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 ha. Tu Zheng suddenly laughed loudly, and the violent energy in his body was like a huge wave, soaring into the sky like a pillar. It's not just him. The rest of the elders of the Yugui sect could no longer hold on, and they also laughed wildly and crazily while emitting overwhelming anger. Anyone with a discerning eye could see it at a glance. This was a completely mad state, and it was a mad state with almost no rationality. Seeing this, Patriarch Xuanhuan smiled with satisfaction. Another group of people felt his pain. And after this incident, he also came to the results of the experiment. The people who are most susceptible to the impact of recollection are cultivators below the upper four realms. These cultivators only need to watch it several times to produce demons in their hearts due to emotions such as unwillingness, frustration, and anger, and they are difficult to resist. For cultivators in the upper four realms, it is much more difficult. Tu Zheng and the elders of the Yugui sect are mostly in the first two realms of the upper four realms, and they can resist for so long. If the target is changed to cultivators in the last two realms of the upper four realms, the effect may be minimal. This recalling treasure mirror is only a fragment of a magic weapon after all, and the immersion is slightly worse. If you want a stronger effect, you still need to collect other fragments, Xuanhuan Patriarch analyzed. After saying that, he stopped projecting and did the final finishing work. And the finishing work is: for all those who watch the 9 lives backtracking, he will personally place a silence seal in the sea of consciousness. The purpose of doing so is to act in secret. After all, once this matter is spread, other people will be on guard, which will affect the process of making the world feel pain. In addition, Zhang Chen cannot know about this matter. The reason is very simple. Putting aside other factors, just say one thing. Who is willing? Let others see your memory for no reason? It's embarrassing, okay. After thinking about it, Xuanhuan Patriarch personally took action and directly erased all the memories of Tu Zheng and others about the 9 lives. Compared with silence, this method is undoubtedly more direct. After all, Tu Zheng and others' cultivation is here, so they still have to be steady. Of course. Although the memory is erased, the inner demon still exists, so Tu Zheng and others are still completely crazy. And still crazy for no reason. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 226. Tu Zheng and others returned to Yugui sect. Their expressions were dull and dazed, and they couldn't remember what exactly happened. They could only see anger floating in their eyes. On the way back to the sect master's palace, everyone met Zhang Chen. At this time, Zhang Chen was bullying a demon sect disciple, and his laughter was extremely arrogant. When the disciple saw Tu Zheng, he immediately stepped forward to complain, "Sect master, Zhang Chen beat me. I only said that although we are demon sects, monks should follow nature, so he beat me. He even beat me up, cruel. Going with the flow." When these 4 words hit their ears, Tu Zheng and others' eyes turned cold. They didn't know why, but they just felt that these 4 words were extremely harsh. "If he beats you up, won't you beat him back?" Tu Zheng asked coldly. "I can't beat him," the disciple looked aggrieved. "You can't beat him, but you still have the nerve to complain? How could our ghost control sect have such a useless disciple like you?" Tu Zheng was furious. "Then just slap the complaining disciple to death." Seeing this scene, everyone around was heartbroken. Although the demon sect emphasizes the law of the jungle, there are rules. Even the sect leader cannot execute a disciple so casually. What's more, it's in full view of everyone. Soon, several elders from the Ghost Sect Law Enforcement Hall came over. The first time they saw Tu Zheng, they were shocked and said, "Sect Master, something is wrong with you. There is so much violence in your eyes that you may have become a demon." "How brave!" Tu Zheng was furious. "How dare you slander me? I will make your blood splatter on the spot today." "Say it." Tu Zheng slapped several more elders of the law enforcement hall to death. Bold, a supreme elder appeared and shouted from high in the sky, Tu Zheng. As the sect leader, don't you want to be the leader? Labor and management no longer want to be employed. Tu Zheng's flow was about to burst, and he said madly, what does the sect leader mean? I take the blame for you old immortals every day. Today, I will overthrow this ghost control sect. While speaking, he rushed towards the Supreme Elder. Look at that posture. Obviously he also wanted to slap the Supreme Elder to death. Are you crazy? Upon seeing this, the Supreme Elder was horrified. Tu Zheng was so angry that he completely lost his mind. While taking action, he said, you are crazy, your whole family is crazy. Hearing this, the Supreme Elder was so angry that he immediately fought with Tu Zheng. Tu Zheng was defeated and was quickly knocked to the ground. His eyes were filled with unwillingness and his anger became even stronger. Tu Zheng, let's capture him without mercy, the Supreme Elder spoke condescendingly, and his deep voice echoed throughout the surroundings, don't try to resist, or you will be killed on the spot. Don't try to struggle, because this is your life. Life. This word instantly stung Tu Zheng's nerves. Although I don't know why. This also stung the nerves of hundreds of disciples who had watched the ninth life recall. Soon, these disciples gathered around Tu Zheng and glared at the Supreme Elder in the sky. For a time, the crowd was excited and the atmosphere was solemn. When the Supreme Elder at high altitude saw this, he couldn't help but swallowed his saliva and couldn't figure out why he had just stirred up a hornet's nest. Suddenly, I control my own life. The third true legend Gao Long jumped up and slashed at the Supreme Elder high in the sky with his sword. Seeing this, the other disciples and elders also jumped up and followed with various spiritual weapons in hand. The Supreme Elder's scalp went numb when he saw this. After swatting Gao Long, who was the first to charge, away with one palm, the Supreme Elder escaped immediately. It's not that I can't beat him, it's that the madman is too scary. Again. As the saying goes, the law does not punish the masses, he can't shoot hundreds of people to death, can he? Ha ha ha. Tu Zheng felt great. Feeling that this was not enough to relieve his anger, he raised his arms and shouted, we should go to our ancestors and ask for an explanation. Even if it means death, we must defy heaven. Oh! As soon as these words came out, the disciples of the Ghost Control sect roared in unison. Then, under the leadership of Tu Zheng, everyone walked towards the location of the Ghost Control ancestor. Only Zhang Chen. Stay where you are, confused. What's the situation? He just couldn't hold it in anymore, so he bullied a disciple of the Ghost Control section. How could he make things happen like this? Besides, how come so many people in the Ghost Control sect went crazy all of a sudden? This shouldn't be any of my business, right, he said to himself. On the other side, the ghost controlling ancestor is located. She has been in a panic lately. Because there are more and more crazy people in the ghost control sect. Such a situation reminded her of a rumor. The same was true for the former Juyan sect. People go crazy one after another, and eventually become demon sects and crazy sects. She felt that she was a little hasty. I thought that the ghost control sect was not afraid of trouble, but Zhang Chen's trouble was really too big. In just over 10 days, the ghost control sect was already in a state of panic. I thought that the ghost control sect was originally a demon sect, so naturally they were not afraid of becoming a demon sect. But who would have expected? If you continue like this, you will become a crazy sect. Isn't this Zhang Chen poisonous? The ghost controlling ancestor murmured. After thinking about it again, she felt that she had thought too much. After all, no matter how powerful the Zhang family is, they can't drive a sect crazy in a short period of time, right? Again. Although there are currently many disciples of Mad Demon, they will not shake the foundation of the ghost sect and are still under control. But this kid is really a bit weird, so we should give up the idea of letting him join the Yugui section. The Yugui patriarch murmured again. She had just finished speaking. A supreme elder came anxiously and said, "Ancestor, it's not good. Tu Zheng has gone crazy, and he is on his way here with a group of equally crazy disciples. Judging from their appearance, they are going to rebel." "What?" The Yugui patriarch was shocked and jumped up. She was busy thinking about things just now, and didn't pay attention to the situation in the Yugui sect at all. She could never have imagined such a situation. Unexpectedly, Tu Zheng was also crazy. And he wanted to rebel with his disciples. What's the matter? Is it that she can't lift the knife anymore, or is Tu Zheng crazy, so he is floating? "Ancestor, Zhang Chen is a disaster," the Grand Elder almost cried, saying, "The rumors are true, wherever he goes crazy. I think we should expel him from the sect quickly." "Why are you panicking?" the ghost-controlling ancestor glared. "According to the time, the Grand Elder should have arrived at Ghost Ridge Soul Abyss at this moment. The sect war between our sect and Julian sect is already on the verge of being launched. If Zhang Chen is driven away now, if he returns to Julian sect, won't we be restrained because of the Zhang family?" she added. The Grand Elder was speechless and had no words to refute. "They are just a group of lunatics, I can suppress them with a flip of my hand. Again, no matter how big a problem Zhang Chen is, can he bring disaster to our sect?" the ghost-controlling ancestor said again. The Grand Elder thought it made sense. But for some reason, he always felt uneasy, so he asked back, what if it really happens?" The Ghost Master was silent. The word "what if" made her start to feel uneasy. "I will go and suppress those lunatics first. All of you, the Supreme Elders, should accompany Zhang Chen recently. This way, it will be absolutely safe." After thinking for a while, she ordered. "It's called companionship, but it's actually surveillance." She didn't believe it. With such strict precautions, Zhang Chen could still cause some trouble. The Supreme Elder who arrived also felt very stable and breathed a sigh of relief. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 227. In the deepest part of the Ghost Ridge Soul Abyss, there is an unnamed ghost city. There are ghosts everywhere in the ghost city, and in the center there is a black hall, which is where the ghost master of this ghost abyss is. At this moment, the ghost master Sui is sitting on a black wooden chair, and from time to time he pokes the cheek of the black fox whose tail has been broken in his arms with his fingers. The touch on the cheek made the black fox move its body. It opened its eyes with difficulty and said helplessly, "Sister Su, can you let me sleep? I have to heal my wounds as soon as possible, and then do something big." "Xuanhuan, don't you just want to burn yourself with ghost fire and refine your soul with nether fire? Tell me more about Zhang Chen, and then I will help you refine your soul," Sui said indifferently. "But I'm sleepy," Xuanhuan was dissatisfied. In fact, when talking about Zhang Chen, it also felt very happy. But the problem is, the female ghost does not need to sleep, but it needs to use it to recover from injuries. Every time she was awakened from her deep sleep, Xuanhuan could bear it once or twice, but this has happened almost 100 times. Sui didn't care about that and asked directly, "Xuanhuan, did Zhang Chen really experience 9 lives? Is it so magical?" Hearing this, Xuanhuan immediately became serious and replied, "Sister Su, this matter cannot be spread. In this life, Zhang Chen deserves to live freely. Don't you trust me?" Sui was also serious. Xuanhuan was silent. It really didn't trust it? Although it was now haunted by ghosts and turned into a black fox, and cut off its own fox tail, its bloodline was still the 9 heavens ghost fox. It could clearly smell that Sui had a unique odor of a bad guy. After the 9 lives, Xuanhuan had subverted the concept of good and bad people, but it was still on guard. If it hadn't asked Sui for something, and hadn't revealed the words about 9 lives in its sleep, it would never have revealed a single word. After all, in this life, Zhang Chen does have the right to live freely. Tell me in detail, did Zhang Chen meet me in his previous 9 lives? Sui asked again. I think so. After thinking for a while, Xuanhuan said. It watched the 9 life replay from its own perspective, so it didn't know much about these. However, in the 9 reincarnations, Zhang Chen did talk to it about Sui, but he just said to stay away from this female ghost, not in detail. And Sui was naturally dissatisfied with such a vague answer. But no matter how she asked, Xuanhuan kept silent. Helplessly, Sui had to ask, then tell me, is Zhang Chen handsome? Is he a good man? Sui asked the topic directly. Of course, Xuanhuan nodded affirmatively. I have never seen anyone better looking than Zhang Chen. In this life, no matter what Zhang Chen becomes, he is the best man in the world. Sui nodded and smiled with satisfaction. He is a good man and handsome. Worth snatching. Then do you know where Zhang Chen is now? Sui asked again. I don't know. Xuanhuan shook her head. The last time I met him, he was out. I think he should be back to the sect now. Sect? Which sect is he from? Juyan section. Sui's face immediately sank. Juyan sect came to Guiling Soul Abyss to snatch Juyuan's soul fetus when she had nothing to do. If she hadn't been afraid of the Juyan ancestor, she would have led thousands of ghosts to cause trouble. Suddenly, a little ghost came and reported that someone wanted to meet Sui, and it was the supreme elder of the Yugui sect. Yugui sect, Sui frowned again. She didn't have much good feelings for the Yugui sect. After all, the Yugui sect practiced ghost magic, and used ghost magic to catch and control ghosts, which was very incompatible with her. But compared with Juyan sect, the Yugui sect was much better in her eyes. Because Juyan sect was robbing. And the Yugui sect and Guiling Soul Abyss had a relationship of the survival of the fittest. The Ghost sect has been going deep into the ghost-rich Soul Abyss for many years to catch and control ghosts, so many monks have fallen there, and their flesh, blood, and souls have all become supplements for ghosts. The two sides seem to be on opposite sides, but in terms of the results, they are also mutually beneficial. In the end, Sui decided to meet him. In a moment, an old man with a sinister look appeared in the hall. The old man was wearing a grey robe, his hair was white like snow, his face was full of wrinkles, and his breath was extremely cold. After entering the hall, when the old man saw the black fox in Sui's hand, he was stunned at first, and then said, "My name is Han Kun, and I am the Supreme Elder of the Controlling Ghost section. This time, I came here to discuss with the Ghost Lord and join hands to attack the Juyan section." Attack the Juyan sect? Sui was stunned. Xuanhuan was a little confused. Just when she was about to say something, she felt sleepy and soon fell asleep. Ghost Lord, although Ghost Ridge Soul Abyss and Yugui sect have frequent frictions, the two are interdependent. My Ghost sect ancestor said that after the matter is completed, Juyan sect's foundation will be 50-50, Han Kun said. Do you know that the Juyan ancestor came from the upper domain? Sui asked after a moment of hesitation. Of course I know, Han Kun nodded. Do you also know that the cultivation level of the Juyan ancestor is very likely to have surpassed the upper 4 realms? Sui asked again. Han Kun nodded again. Since you know it, you still want to drag me to die together? Sui was furious, and the ghost energy on his body was like a wave. Ghost Lord, you don't know yet. Han Kun was not panicked at all, and talked calmly. The Juyan ancestor has lost his physical body and only has his soul. Although he knows the ancient soul method, his strength has definitely fallen. Ghost Lord and my Ghost sect ancestor are both in the late Nirvana cultivation level. The two of you join hands and are enough to fight the Juyan ancestor, he said with certainty. Sui really didn't know about this. She stayed in Ghost Ridge Soul Abyss for many years and was not interested in the outside world. Now, in her understanding, Juyan sect is still the 1,000-year-old righteous sect. Seeing her worry, Han Kan added, "Ghost Lord, there is no need to worry about the righteous side. The Juyan sect has now become a demon section. When the demon sects fight each other, the righteous people will only watch coldly. It's okay to watch coldly, but if you want to take advantage of others, it may be troublesome." Sui continued. "Ghost Lord, the Buddha temple has just experienced a war and is no longer able to care about us. The Seven Light Sword Pavilion is still secluded from the world. Now the righteous side is weak and has no strength to take advantage of others." Han Kan smiled indifferently. "Oh? Is that so?" Sui smiled instantly. She was sure that Han Kan would not lie to her, and there was no reason to lie to herself. In other words, at this moment, it is indeed the best time to avenge the repeated robbery of Juyuan's soul fetus and to snatch Zhang Chen away and become the suppressing abyss husband. After closing his eyes and pondering for a while, Sui smiled slyly. "Since you have a request from me, the foundation of Juyan sect will be 40% and 70%. You 40%. This." Han Kan hesitated. "If you don't want to, please go back." "Okay. 40% and 70%. Also, after Juyan sect is destroyed, I want one person from Juyan sect." "Who?" "You will know when the time comes." Hearing this, Han Kan nodded, indicating that it was okay. Although he didn't know why Sui was interested in Juyan sect, this had no effect on the plan of Yugui sect. Next, one man and one ghost began to discuss when to attack Juyan sect. After a month or so, Sui said. Han Kan was a little dissatisfied with this time. After all, the order given to him by Yugui Patriarch was that the longer the night, the more dreams there were, and the sooner the better. This is the fastest time. I have something interesting to do recently. Sui said. Interesting? Han Kan frowned. Can interesting things be more important than attacking Juyan sect? Although he was even more dissatisfied, Sui insisted and he had no choice. Then after more than a month, my Yugui sect will join forces with the Ghost Ridge Soul Abyss 10,000 ghosts to attack Juyan together. In the end, he had to agree. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 228. The interesting thing Su Mo mentioned could only be Jushuang. Jushuang is a 9-day ghost fox who wants to escape from his destiny by burning his body with ghost fire and refining his soul with ghost fire. Su Mo found this kind of thing very interesting. She wanted to see it. This fox never wanted to forget Zhang Chen, even if it was for a few hours, and wanted to stay by Zhang Chen's side according to his own wishes. Whether he can withstand the pain of being burned by ghost fire and underworld fire. Su Mo hoped that Jushuang could handle it. After all, she still expected to follow Jushuang and find Zhang Chen. Although she already knew that Zhang Chen was in Juyan sect, she didn't know Zhang Chen's face, so it was safer to let Jushuang lead the way. Time passed, and in the blink of an eye it was more than a month later. Jushuang woke up from her deep sleep. Its injuries have basically recovered, and its aura has stabilized at the Demon King level. It still remembers. More than a month ago, an old man arrived and invited Su Mo to attack Juyan sect together. Glancing at Su Mo beside him, he wanted to stop him. But when the words came to his mouth, it was stunned for a moment. Its senses. As the body's injuries recovered, the 4 severed tails showed faint signs of growing back. At the same time, the memory becomes blurry again. Jushuang knows. I have no time. It must burn its body and refine its soul as soon as possible, otherwise all its efforts will be in vain. Jumping off the black wooden chair, Jushuang left the main hall and came to an open space outside the ghost city. Zhang Chen. Finally whispering the name, it made up its mind. The next second. A monstrous fire emerged from its body, burning every cell, every inch of its skin, and every piece of its bones. That kind of heartbreaking pain made him want to die. But every time it wanted to give up, it would silently recite Zhang Chen's name and then show a happy smile. Soon, the ghostly fire burned its body, leaving only its soul. The soul condenses and disperses at times, appearing extremely unstable. Even so, the four severed tails were still growing rapidly. The memory is still passing. Xuanhuan kept shaking his head, looked at Su Emo beside him, and said, "Sister Su, help me. It will be very painful." Su Emo restrained his smile and replied seriously, "Soul refining with hellfire, to put it bluntly, it means training your divine soul directly into a ghost." While speaking, she stretched out a thin finger, with a cluster of netherworld flames on it. "Go." She flicked the flames towards Xuanhuan. "Ah!" The next second, Xuanhuan screamed miserably. It was obviously just a small cluster of flames, but it felt indescribable pain. The degree of pain is definitely far greater than having one's tail cut off or one's body burned. It was a pain that came from the soul, clear, and crazy. This is just a trace of hellfire. It's too late for you to turn around now. I can help you stabilize your spiritual soul. If you can find the treasures of heaven and earth to reshape your body, you can still become a 9-day ghost fox with white frost hair." Sumo's solemn voice sounded. "Don't forget, your name is Xuanhuan. If you become a ghost fox, then Zhang Chen probably won't be able to recognize you," she added. "Maybe." Xuanhuan smiled palely. Maybe Zhang Chen really couldn't recognize it. Perhaps this is a road of no return, and the only thing waiting for it is death. Perhaps in this life, Zhang Chen will no longer name it and protect it from growing up. But sister, I really like him. I really don't want to forget him, even if it means death. I forgot about Zhang Chen hundreds of times, but he never blamed me. So this life. Even if he doesn't recognize me, I won't blame him. Once, I had no choice. But now, I do. Although this choice will lead to death, I am not afraid. Because, at least this choice will allow me to die in his arms." Xuanhuan continued. After hearing these words, Su Emo was speechless. She asked herself, she didn't have Xuanhuan's courage. Even more impossible, like Xuanhuan, he voluntarily gave up his life in order not to forget. Why? After letting out a long sigh, she turned around. At the same time, the white and black ghost fire emerged from her back, turned into a giant hand, opened its bloody mouth, and swallowed Xuanhuan directly. Ah! Exposed to the underworld fire, Xuanhuan's screams continued. Su Emo knew it without even looking. At this moment, Xuanhuan was probably in so much pain that she wanted to die. But the continuous screams proved that Xuanhuan had no intention of giving up. Otherwise, you only need to explode your soul, and although your soul will be scattered, you will be free. The screams continued for several days. Unknowingly, an old six-tailed woman appeared next to Su Emo, full of deathly aura. Looking at Xuanhuan in the underworld fire, the old woman's heart was as sharp as a knife. She wanted to speak out to dissuade him many times, but she finally fell silent. "You are about to die." Su Emo looked at the old woman and said. The old woman nodded. Her life is coming to an end and she only has a few hours left. I am afraid. She couldn't even witness Xuanhuan's transformation, rebirth, or even death. Lying cross-legged on the ground, the old woman closed her eyes. Obviously, she couldn't bear to look at the pain Xuanhuan was suffering at this moment. "Grandmother." As if aware of the old woman's aura, Xuanhuan endured the severe pain and shouted. "Xuanhuan, life and death are determined by fate. I have lived long enough." The old woman spoke in a hoarse voice. "Grandma, can I save you?" Xuanhuan asked again. The old woman shook her head. Lifespan is the shackles of cultivators. To break the shackles, only extremely rare natural treasures and continuous practice are needed. Even a powerful emperor can still fall, let alone her. Besides, for her, isn't death a kind of relief? The Yuhe clan offended the demon emperor and was imprisoned in this world of time. For thousands of years, she has been trying her best to save the Yuhe clan, but she never thought. It turned out, the Yuhe clan has no possibility of being saved. No matter what Xuanhuan chooses, the Yuhe clan cannot escape the fate of being suppressed and sealed for life. At this moment, she is tired. She just wants to wait for death honestly and stop struggling. Then help Xuanhuan to fulfill her only wish. Xuanhuan, I came here to tell you that Zhang Chen is in the Yugui section. If you successfully transform into Zhuyuan Ghost Fox, go to the Yugui sect to find him, the old woman said. Yugui sect? Sui blinked blankly. Didn't they say Zhang Chen was in Zhuyuan sect? She was just about to snatch him away. I heard that Yugui sect and Zhuyuan sect have a very bad relationship. Maybe he was held hostage, the old woman guessed. Is that so? Sui was immediately angry. Who is Zhang Chen? Zhu Shuang risked her life to meet a good man, a handsome guy. She has already decided on her husband Yewan. How can she be bullied by others? Where is the ghost general? Sui shouted immediately. As soon as the words fell, ghost winds whistled around, and many ghost shadows emerged from them. I'm here. The ghost generals knelt on one knee and answered in unison. Call all ghosts. When Zhu Shuang's soul refining fire is finished, I will go to Yugui sect to ask for people. Anyone who stands in my way will be killed without mercy, Sui ordered. Yes. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 229. A few days passed in the blink of an eye. Soul refining under the fire of hell. Zhu Shuang's soul was completely washed away, corroded by the ghostly aura of hellfire, and he was completely transformed into a ghost fox. During this period, the light blue mark between its eyebrows completely disappeared, the 4 severed tails grew again, and its hair turned from pitch black to a light blue. When it comes out of the underworld fire, the grandmother who had cared for it for 9 lives and kept running and working for it has died. The Vulpix old woman just sat quietly. Although he fell, there was a smile of comfort and relief on his face. Grandmother. Zhu Shuang threw herself on the old woman, her tears flowing uncontrollably. The loss of a loved one makes her heart sad. But a little lucky. Fortunately, in this life, she will no longer forget her loved ones, nor will she look at her grandma's bones and say, "Who are you?" Your grandma's life has come to an end. Please give her condolences. Su Emo stepped forward to comfort her, at least, she left with a smile, right? Zhu Shuang wiped her tears and nodded. The 6-tailed old woman has spent her whole life working for the Yuhe clan and for it, so she probably only feels relaxed when she loses her. Take a deep breath. At the bottom of the abyss, Zhu Shuang dug a pit and buried the 6-tailed old woman. Logically speaking, it should take the old woman back to her family's land and bury her. But it's clear. That place is not a clan land at all, but a prison. Its grandma shouldn't be still imprisoned after death. Although there are ghosts and shadows at the bottom of the abyss, it is at least quiet and no one will disturb it. Seeing that it was reluctant to leave, Su Emo urged, Xuanhuan, you only have a few hours, you'd better go find Zhang Chen as soon as possible. Good. Zhu Shuang nodded and murmured. Don't worry, I will lead 10,000 ghosts to the Ghost Control sect, and the Ghost Control sect will definitely release them, Su Emo said again. Sister, the Ghost Control sect should be destroyed, Zhu Shuang said in a low mood. Say it. It reincarnated for 9 more lives, and the grievances between Zhang Chen and the Ghost Control sect were revealed one by one. The Ghost Control sect acts arrogantly and has no morality at all. Zhu Shuang remembers it very clearly. For 9 lifetimes, Zhang Chen had taken many scapegoats for the Ghost Control sect. Especially Yan Mei, the #1 true successor of the Ghost Control section. If this person hadn't wanted to dig up Lin Muibai's innate Taoist bones, Zhang Chen wouldn't have been expelled from the sect. After learning this, Su Mo became angry again. She decided, if the Ghost Control sect hands over Zhang Chen, it will only give him some lessons. Otherwise, the Ghost Control sect must be destroyed. In fact, when he first heard that Zhang Chen had experienced 9 reincarnations, and that Zhu Shuang had seen all the memories with his own eyes, Su Mo didn't believe it. After all, this matter is too magical and unbelievable. But she had to believe it. Because she witnessed with her own eyes a 9-day ghost fox who was willing to burn his body to refine his soul in order to resist destiny. Hey, Su Mo sighed faintly and said, "Time is limited, let's go. Let me stay with Grandma for a while longer." Zhu Shuang kept shaking his head. "You have no time. If you waste all the time you have here, your grandma won't feel at ease if she knows." Su Mo consoled her. "Say it." Regardless of Zhu Shuang's resistance, she just flicked her sleeves and wrapped Zhu Shuang away. Soon, the ghosts of Ghost Ridge and Soul Abyss roared. Su Mo and Zhu Shuang jumped out of it, and behind them, followed a dense army of ghosts that seemed to be able to cover the entire world. The Ghost Control sect. The sect leader Tu Zheng led hundreds of elders and disciples to rebel, but was personally suppressed by the Ghost Control ancestor. Because this matter involved too much and was caused by madness. Therefore, the ancestor of Yugui only removed Tu Zheng from the position of head, and all the other disciples were imprisoned, without harming anyone's life. At this moment, inside the sect's main hall, the ancestor of Yugui is discussing with a group of supreme elders the specific matters of attacking Julian sect. There is no doubt that today's Julian ancestor will not have peak strength. But for the sake of caution, we still have to be cautious and use all our strength, said a supreme elder. Yes. But the question now is that the ancestor of Julian has a very good relationship with the dynasty. If we try to exterminate the sect like this, will the dynasty take any action? Another supreme elder said. Absolutely not. The great elder Han Kun said. The Julian sect took Zhang Chen in, but the dynasty ignored him. This matter has consumed the friendship between the ancestors of Julian and the dynasty, so the dynasty will definitely not take any action. As for the strength of the Julian ancestor, we don't need to worry too much. First of all, our sect also has a 1,000-year foundation, and our ancestor is in the late stage of nirvana. Secondly, there are tens of thousands of ghosts in Guiling Xuanhuan, which is comparable to hundreds of ghost generals in the upper 4 realms, and 3 ghosts in the supernatural power realm. In addition, the Ghost Lord of Ghost Abyss is in the late stage of nirvana. I dare to say so. This alliance between Guiwen and our sect is enough to sweep most of the sects in the central region. Hearing this, everyone nodded in agreement. Even the ghost-controlling ancestor squinted his eyes and smiled, looking like he was in control. In my opinion, the person who should be more careful is Zhang Chen. Han Kun spoke again. What do you mean? The ghost control ancestor frowned. Ancestor, have we thought about a possibility? Han Kun asked with a serious expression. Then Zhang Chen, maybe he was sent by the Julian sect to lead the charge. This. The ghost control ancestor's face became serious. Everyone thought carefully. It's really possible. Zhang Chen bullied the ghost sect disciples, this was just a trivial matter. But destroying the ghost control tower hurts the ghost sect's foundation. More importantly, the time when the sect's disciples disappeared and went crazy coincided with the time when Zhang Chen arrived. Before returning to the sect this time, I went to the Buddha temple to inquire about information. Han Kun continued. It is said that the Juyan sect and the Buddha temple had a war, and this Zhang Chen also used the alias Three Burials Master to make trouble in the Buddha temple. What? It's like this. The ghost control ancestor was shocked. Then, isn't the experience of the ghost control sect exactly the same as that of the Buddha temple? She really didn't expect it. She didn't expect that Zhang Chen, who has always been arrogant, unruly, and evil everywhere, is really willing to pay for the Juyan sect. This child, it's not appropriate to stay for a long time. The ghost control ancestor narrowed his eyes. She didn't mean to kill him, but wanted to drive Zhang Chen away as soon as possible. But at this moment, the sect war is imminent. If Zhang Chen returns to the Juyan sect, it will make the ghost sect feel constrained. Don't worry, Ancestor Han Kun stood up and saluted, and spoke again, in the face of absolute power, as long as the Zhang family does not intervene, no matter how Zhang Chen jumps around, it will be useless. Now, the time agreed between our sect and that Sui has come. We can directly start the sect war after the 10,000 ghosts come out of the abyss, he added. The ghost-controlling ancestor thought it made sense and looked at him with appreciation. Haha, if the Juyan sect is destroyed this time, the Great Elder will be the first to win. Thank you, ancestor. Han Kun's body shook. But the time has come. Why hasn't that Sui taken action yet? Does she want to regret it? The ghost-controlling ancestor changed the subject. As soon as she finished speaking. Ancestor. All the great elders. Ghosts, all ghosts. Dense ghosts are coming to our sect at a high speed, a sect elder rushed in and shouted. Hearing this, the eyes of the ghost-controlling ancestor and others lit up. Don't panic. Haha, this is our friendly army, the ghost-controlling ancestor laughed. Ancestor, the preparations for the war have been completed. You only need to give an order to start the war. We should go and join Ghost Ridge Soul Abyss immediately, Han Kun suggested. Okay. The ghost-controlling ancestor stood up and waved his hand. Our sect will rise today. Oh. The next moment, the hall was filled with cheers. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 230. Boom. The bell of the ghost control sect rang loudly. Hearing the sound, all the elders and disciples rushed towards the spiritual boat that had been prepared and floated into the air, as if they had been given blood. Then, Patriarch Yugui appeared leading a group of supreme elders. Let's go, the ghost control ancestor waved his hand. The next moment, the sect's grand formation was cancelled, and hundreds of spirit boats followed the ghost control ancestor and others and left quickly, looking for ghosts in the Ghost Ridge and the Soul Abyss to meet. In a certain house, Zhang Chen blinked. The old man in front of him also blinked. The two of them stared at each other in silence. Well, what does the ringing of the bell mean? Zhang Chen asked. It's just a routine bell ringing, the old man replied. Glancing at the sky outside the window, Zhang Chen asked again, then where are these spirit boats, as well as the ghost control ancestor and others going? It's just a routine outing. It's not directed at anyone, the old man replied. Zhang Chen was speechless, feeling that the other party was treating him as a fool. Such a big movement is obviously going to start a sect war. Going out regularly? He wanted to ask right now. Your sect is so idle, why would you use all the efforts of your sect to go shopping as a routine? The old man in front of him was the last supreme elder of the ghost control sect. Since that day when the sect leader Tu Zheng led hundreds of people to rebel, he has been closely monitored by the ghost control section. No matter where he goes, he will be followed by the supreme elder. This makes Zhang Chen very unhappy. Tu Zheng rebelled, what does it have to do with him? Hundreds of disciples went crazy, what did it have to do with him? He is innocent and innocent. During the recent period, he was followed by a group of old men every day, and he couldn't get enough system rewards. "Mr. Li, aren't you going?" Zhang Chen asked again. "No, my mission is to accompany you." Mr. Li almost let it slip. Zhang Chen was speechless again. This ghost control sect can't wait any longer. Although they had agreed to be a family, they kept strict surveillance on him and were on guard everywhere. So chilling. The ghost control sect has been extremely quiet recently, just like the calm before the storm. He had already asked Xuanhuan to help find out what happened and was waiting for news. For such a trivial matter, the reason why Master was asked to take action was because there was nothing he could do about it. After all, Lin Mubai and Zhang Hu were also under strict surveillance. Half an hour later, a figure in red arrived. Xuanhuan came to Zhang Chen's side, looked at Mr. Li, opened her red lips and said, "Get out. Farewell." Without hesitation, Mr. Li simply stood up and left. He knew that he was no match for Xuanhuan, so there was no need to fight head-on. Furthermore, even if you leave here, you can still monitor nearby. And after he left, although the people of the Yugui sect are tight-lipped, I still heard some news. It seems that the Yugui sect and Guiling Xuanhuan have joined forces and are preparing to take action against the Juyan section. Xuanhuan said bluntly. That's it, Zhang Chen suddenly realized. This does make sense. In fact, he had already expected that the Juyan sect had repeatedly gone to Ghost Ridge Xuanhuan to snatch the Juyan soul fetus, and sooner or later the female ghost would take revenge. I just didn't expect that things would happen so quickly. And if this happens, Juyan sect might really be in trouble. Thinking of that female ghost, Zhang Chen felt a headache again. This ghost is not good. Specifically, Su Mo is not a heroine, but a typical female ghost villain. The plot in the original work. In order to help old man Tianji replenish his soul power, the protagonist Lin Feng also went to Ghost Ridge Soul Abyss many times to seize the Juyan soul fetus. At the beginning, Na Su Mo was worried about the ancestor of Juyan, so he endured it again and again. But after the death of the Juyan ancestor, Su Mo joined forces with the demon sect to attack the Juyan sect. In the end, she was killed by the spirit left behind by the ancestor of Juyan before his death. 9 Reincarnations. Zhang Chen will go to the Ghost Ridge Soul Abyss in every life, and his purpose is to prevent the protagonist from obtaining the Juyan soul fetus. But in every life, he would meet Su Mo, and he would be chased and evaded by the latter like a cat chasing a mouse. To be honest, the female ghost is indeed powerful, and her beauty is not inferior to that of the other heroines. But Zhang Chen really couldn't be tempted. In the first 9 lives, it was because I didn't want to be associated with this female ghost villain. But in this life, it's because I don't want to be kidnapped and be regarded as Mr. Yuan. Mr. Yuan means that he will stay in the Ghost Ridge and Soul Abyss for the rest of his life. He still had many things to do, and he still had to ascend on the spot, but he had no time to stay with Su Mo in the Ghost Abyss. Originally, Zhang Chen had made up his mind not to get close to Guiling Xuanhuan in this life, but he didn't expect that Su Mo would still appear nearby. After just a brief pause, he decided. Withdraw. Leave the ghost control sect and stay as far away from that female ghost as possible. It is naturally impossible for Juyan sect to go back. After all, after Su Mo and Gui sect reunite, they will go to fight with Juyan sect. Then there is only one destination. Dangyuta. At this moment, several months have passed since Lin Feng paid homage to Danggu Pagoda. There were rumors some time ago that Lin Feng was deeply trusted by Dangyuta people and had become the #1 true successor of Dangyuta. As a villain, he must go to express condolences to this destined son. After learning his thoughts, Xuanhuan seemed a little hesitant. Master is worried about the ancestor and the Supreme Elder, Zhang Chen asked. Xuanhuan nodded. Although she is crazy, she is not inhumane. These two people are her relatives, so naturally they cannot ignore them. Master, don't worry, Zhang Chen comforted, Juyan sect will not be in trouble. Everyone underestimated the strength of Juyan Patriarch. To put it bluntly, the vision of the cultivators in the central region is still too narrow. They don't know what it means to surpass the upper four realms. They don't know that even if Juyan Patriarch has fallen into the state of spirit, his strength is far beyond the ability of the cultivators in the central region to deal with. In the 9 reincarnations, Juyan Patriarch was able to kill several demon ancestors with only the spirit left before his death, which shows his strength. Of course, if you are really worried, we can go back and take a look, Zhang Chen added. Xiao Hong'ai thought about it and shook her head and said, no, I'll listen to you. After the two set their goals, they began to think about another question. That is Mr. Li who is monitoring them. Zhang Chen also guessed. The reason why the Yugui sect kept him must be that they were worried about the consequences. Therefore, before the sect war is completely over, the Yugui sect will never let him leave easily. If you want to leave, you have to do it by force. But it is not easy to do it by force. After all, although Mr. Li is not Xiao Hong'ai's opponent, he can use the ghost sect's formation to fight back. If the matter gets out of hand and causes the ghost control patriarch to return, and the female ghost follows, then he really can't leave. I'll stop him, and you leave first, Xiao Hong'ai suggested. How can this be done? Zhang Chen refused. We are a master and disciple, and we will never leave each other. Hearing this, Xiao Hong'ai smiled sweetly. If you are worried about me, just let Chen Sheng help me. Okay. In the end, Zhang Chen agreed.